Good evening, happy Friday, and thank you for joining us. You're watching the 9 at Night. I'm Stephania Jimenez. Tonight, it's been a year and still no killer has been found in a deadly holiday family gathering. 3 people were killed last year, and now investigators want your help to find clues that will lead to an arrest. This deadly shooting happened on Thanksgiving of 2021 in the 4000 block of Sunrise Creek. Police say that someone in a white car pulled up and sprayed a home with bullets, and when the shooting stopped, Eshone Wolford's sons, 28-year-old Charles Wolford and 25-year-old Eugene Hodge, were killed. Her 32-year-old daughter was paralyzed in the shooting, and she died in June. Anyone with information on this crime is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 210-224-7867. Here's the thing, though. Unsolved murders have really been a trend for a year. Data from San Antonio police shows that only 35% of the murder investigations in our city within the last year ended up with someone behind bars. Camelia Juarez is getting the reason why from a former gang member turned activist who explains the big divide between police and communities of color.
There's a stigmatism in the hood that we don't talk to the police.
Since November of last year, San Antonio police have made an arrest in nearly 35% of citywide murder investigations. Assistant Police Chief Karen Folks told KSAT last month a lot of violent crime is family on family. William Tutt leads the organization Gang Rehabilitation in Process, or GRIP. He agrees violence is a cycle.
Because when I tell you next time you see him, you better do something to him, and I'm your father, I'm transferring that negative behavior to you.
On the East Side, only 14 murder cases have been solved out of the 34 over the last year. SAPD has said in the past it struggles to find witnesses, especially on the East Side. But Tutt's research shows it's the mindset of the environment.
People that live in the hood, we live in a negative behavior cycle. And there's a lot of black on black crime because it's how I view myself as a human being.
Tutt believes different areas of the city have different relationships with police. His research shows it also affects how police prioritize a case.
They're family members of importance, then you get high priority on solving this crime, and it jumps ahead of all of these crimes that have been committed since 2015 that have been unsolved.
GRIP works to educate police and anti-gang organizations on changing the negative violent behavior cycle.
The environment doesn't change no matter all the regentrification that we can do. The mentality has to change.
Camelia Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
In other news now, the former Border Patrol supervisor on trial for killing 4 women said that he did it to clean the streets of Laredo. Juan David Ortiz is on trial for capital murder. And this week, attorneys showed the jury his interrogation video. But this morning, jurors saw something that could have a bigger impact on the case. They finally heard Ortiz confess to murder and then rationalizing why he did it. In the video, Ortiz described in detail how he killed Melissa Ramirez, Claudine Luera, Giselda Cantu, and then a 4th victim who police didn't even know about, Janelle Ortiz. If he's convicted, Ortiz faces up to life in prison without parole. Burned remnants, untouched fuel pumps, lots of questions. That's what's left after the Flying J and Denny's off of I-10 and Foster Road burned. We told you about this yesterday. That fire was started Thursday morning and it tore through that entire building. Fortunately, though, everyone made it out safely. The San Antonio Fire Department says they're not going to be able to investigate because the building had to be knocked down during the firefighting and cleanup process. So they don't know exactly what caused that fire. But a spokesman says that the first crews reported that it appeared to have started in a griddle vent hood in the Denny's kitchen. So this is amazing. This is being touted as a potential vaccine that stops the side effects of fentanyl. Researchers at the University of Houston say that it could be the powerful, life-saving tool against the opioid epidemic. This week, Texas Governor Greg Abbott toured the research lab at U of H, where the possible vaccine is being developed. Last month, scientists at the university announced its discovery. They say that their vaccine stops fentanyl from getting into the brain. The lead researcher on the project said that he designed it for people who are addicted to fentanyl and want to quit. He says that just like any other vaccine, it allows the body to produce antibodies against the drug.
These antibodies bind to fentanyl if it is consumed and prevent it from getting into the brain, where it may trigger euphoric centers or trigger respiratory depression and opioid overdose death.
So this researcher is also saying that it could be used to protect people who are inadvertently exposed to fentanyl. We've been hearing a lot about that. He says the vaccine combined with present treatments could be the game changer that a lot of people have been hoping for. On a lighter note now, it is Friday. Our meteorologist Adam Caskey has your forecast.
Fog and drizzle quickly overspreading our area, and get ready for visibilities to drop to below a mile, even by 11 p.m. or midnight tonight. Tomorrow morning, Saturday morning at sunrise, reduced visibility, still under a mile. So if you like that early morning bike ride or jog or even just walking the dog, the roads and trails, sidewalks will be wet and damp with drizzle. And we don't really shake free from the drizzle until about 9 or 10 a.m. Tomorrow, cloudy all day. A weak cold front moves through. It's not going to have an impact on temperature. 62 in the morning, near 60 in the afternoon. A drop in the humidity, though, will prevent the drizzle from reforming Saturday night. Sunday, low humidity, cloudy, and yeah, a few sprinkles, high right near 61. Next week, we're into the 70s, but daily morning fog and drizzle.
With just days to spare, a potentially devastating rail worker strike is averted after President Joe Biden signed a bipartisan measure today. The legislation requires that rail workers accept a tentative agreement. The White House helped negotiate that deal. It calls for a $16,000 immediate payout with wage and benefit increases of up to $160,000. Now, there are measures for a pay raise, bonuses, and an additional day of paid personal leave. The workers would also keep their access to health care plans.
We still have more work to do, in my view, in terms of ultimately getting paid sick leave, not just for rail workers, but for every worker in America.
Now, President Biden is pledging to keep up the fight for a more permanent deal. Inflation and supply shortages, some of the areas that we and so many organizations and businesses have had to learn to deal with. You know what one of them is? Habitat for Humanity. Our Jonathan Cotto spoke with the vice president of the nonprofit, who's celebrating the finishing of the last home for the year, but also talking about how hard it's been to keep its mission of helping people in the last 12 months.
So house cost alone, the cost of materials, all of that has gone up from the beginning of the pandemic until now.
Stephanie Jimenez says at the beginning of 2020, the cost to build a home was roughly $95,000. But now
they are costing us more than $120,000 now a house to build.
Habitat for Humanity learning to navigate through the high costs and supply shortages.
We're starting to get at the end of the wave in terms of some of the costs being super exorbitant, but it's been truly very hard to get building materials up until now.
In Bexar County this year, Habitat for Humanity was able to finish 53 Habitat homes.
I think what mostly a lot of these costs have done is prevented us from growing more. We have so much need in San Antonio, and we really wanted to be able to grow more.
There are over 100,000 families in San Antonio that are in need of affordable housing, and that's where Habitat for Humanity comes into play. And despite any challenges that they've been facing this year, construction will continue. They are looking to build at least 250 houses just in this new development alone.
So we're trying to increase, and we want to stay on that track. But really what has helped us has been the generosity of the San Antonio community. Everyone coming together, $10 checks, $100,000 checks, it all makes a difference. It all helps our families be able to afford a nice, decent, stable home.
If you or anyone you know is interested in contributing monetarily or volunteering, you can visit our website, KSAT.com, for more information. Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Great cause. Now, before we go, we want to let you know about the 17th annual Winter Fest. Yes, friends, it is happening tomorrow. North Central Baptist Hospital is putting the event on. Santa and Mrs. Claus and the Grinch are going to be there to welcome everyone. Plus, the hospital is trucking in 40,000 pounds of real snow. The gates open at 10 a.m. and Winterfest ends at 3. And by the way, it's $5 to get in. So we hope that you go and you have a good time. Speaking of time, we are out of it. The 9 at Night returns on Monday. Have a beautiful weekend, and we'll see you then.